Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chip Over the Top Rugby podcast. My name is Ryan. If you are new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. You know the score. Wales v Argentina. I don't know why I'm saying Argentina. It's because I'm thinking of Argentinians. But Argentina, as we know, the dust has settled. 52-28. Any positives from that game? Sort of. I know this has been reviewed and there's been lots of social media sort of posts about it. Obviously, Steve Tandy announced Wales-Japan team today, which is what I'll go through in a second. But I just wanted to give my brief feedback on Wales v Argentina. Argentina, rather. I don't know why I'm saying Argentinian. Well, they are Argentinians, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I was going to upload a podcast episode on the announcement and do a run through and go through the whole squad in general, but just a bit busy on the weekend. I was in North Wales and I had to live stream Wales v Argentina whilst I was driving to Anglesey to get some monuts, and unfortunately there were brief periods of that game that I couldn't stream because of intermittent signal. And initially it looked like it was promising. Argentina just outclassing Wales, making some excellent breaks and taking advantage of poor mistakes that Wales were making. And went up quickly 14-0. Wales came back, which was exciting and good to actually see that there was a bit of cojones, shall we say, in Wales, so that they actually wanted to play and do something about it. Obviously, the game didn't go the way that they wanted to, but there were some positives, right? And I made a quick social media post on said positives, but also there were a couple of obvious negatives. First positive for me was that you could clearly see that Thomas Williams and Jack Morgan were worthy Lions, right? They were head and shoulders above the rest of the Welsh squad. And the second positive for me was that, was it a positive or more so that with Wales potentially moving to 3 regions, and some players playing elsewhere, in the English Prem, for example, there was a clear, noticeable difference where a player was coming from a professional region or just a team where they were doing well versus a team that wasn't. For example, Scarlets and Dragons players didn't necessarily look out of place, but it doesn't seem to be as much confidence about them, say, compared to Cardiff, who had just come back on the back of beating Edinburgh in the URC, for example. Scarlets and Dragons hadn't really been on good form, right? And are currently sitting bottom of the table in the URC. Obviously, you could say the same for the Ospreys, but there seems to be something about Osprey players, I think, purely maybe because of the overall talent they have within the squad setup. Derry Lake, Jack Morgan, just pure class players, right? And for me, one of the other negatives, well, before I go on to that, you got to look at, like, Lewis Rees-Zammit was deserving of a bench spot. When he came on, there was an instant spark. Clearly his size, strength and speed were on display, and he's a world-class player. He is what Wales have needed for a very, very long time. Obviously, it was a bit weird timing bringing him on when they were down a player and they were down a couple of tries, as if he was going to do everything that he could. But he did bring a bit of spark and a bit of energy back into the Wales backline, particularly because the high ball wasn't going so well. Blair Murray, I'm surprised, got another opportunity this week, which we'll come on to a second. But, if I was Japan, I would be targeting Blair Murray and the high ball. So it's up to Blair Murray now and the back three, Zammit, and Adams. We'll get onto that team announcement in a second to actually do something about it and prove the critics wrong, I think. Because there was a lot of talk for Jacob Beetham to come into the squad at fullback and or maybe see Zammit come in and bring in another winger instead. But hey ho, he's gone, largely unchanged, just four changes, which we'll come to in a second. But one of the negatives, I was watching the game, obviously I was trying to watch it on my phone as I was driving. Not as I was driving, I was the passenger. And I was noticing just a lot of empty seats, which was quite disappointing for an Autumn Nations game. I actually, funnily enough, I had a memory pop up on my phone. Argentina beat Wales back in 2012 or 2013 as well. So yeah, interesting. It was a good game, but I was a little bit, the positives for me were outweighed by the negatives. But Steve Tandy's first game, he's trying to develop that sort of reputation. Argentina pulled ahead, but Wales didn't die. Wales didn't give up. And there was some sort of structure to their attack. When they went wide, they actually looked dangerous. So it'll just be a case of now developing and building on that. And hopefully this weekend, Wales v Japan, Wales do come away with a win and we have something to talk about. But then obviously the following week, it's Wales v New Zealand. And then the following week after that, it's Wales v South Africa out of international window. So we lose half the squad pretty much. Well, not half, but close to the starting lineup, really. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. But without further ado, Wales v Japan has been announced obviously today at 9 a.m, which was lovely. If Steve Tandy is our man to go forward, then we have to put all our faith and trust in him. And as I've said previously, he's largely unchanged. He's gone with 4 changes, obviously with Jack Morgan leaving, unfortunately dislocated shoulder. Hopefully he makes a speedy recovery. They did bring in Harry Deeves, but he hasn't been brought straight back in, straight into the 23. It's not a like-for-like replacement. So, without further ado, Nicky Smith, Dewi Lake, Archie Griffin, strong front row, physical front row, you could argue, and probably a decent scrummaging front row. Dav Jenkins, Adam Beard, second rows, no changes there. And a slight tweak to the back line, obviously with Jack Morgan being leaving the squad. And we've got Aaron Wainwright at 6. Alex Mann moves to 7, which is interesting because there's not really a true open side in that squad now, apart from Harry Deeves. Obviously, Alex Mann typically plays blindside flanker for Cardiff, and Aaron plays number 8 at Dragons. But then Ollie Cracknell, big lump, physical lump, will add some sort of power and physicality to that back line. And what this will mean now is that we'll need Aaron Wainwright and Ollie Cracknell, Dewi Lake, to step up as big physical ball carriers to get us over that gain line. Moving into the back row, the backs, Thomas Williams, obviously, starting at 9, incredible. Dan Edwards played very, very well. His line break, very unfortunate, but it was an incredible line break. And his kicking showed as well. So it's good to see him get the opportunity again at 10 against the Japan squad that he knows, because obviously, we beat them in the summer. And then very, very unchanged backline. Josh Adams, Ben Thomas, very lucky in my opinion to be starting at 12. I thought he might have gone with a bit of a Louis Hennessy sort of vibe, potentially Joe Hawkins. Physical 12, get over the gain line ball carrier, but he's gone with Ben Thomas, playmaker, another kicking option. Does take some stress off Dan Edwards, but hopefully his discipline is much, much improved. Max Llewellyn at outside centre. Hopefully he can get his hands on the ball a little bit more. And then obviously you got the Lewis Rees Lightning at 14 and Blair Murray at 15. On the bench, Liam Belcher, same. Reece Carey and Kieran Azarati, obviously started last time. So now they're on the bench, giving Nicky Smith and Archie Griffin an opportunity to start. Hopefully, Rhys Carey, Kieran Azaradi come on second half and can utilise their prowess on around the field. Freddie Thomas on the bench. Tane Plumtree is brought in to cover the entire back line. Probably Freddie Thomas potentially as well can obviously play in the back row. And then for the backs, Kieran Hardy, Jared Evans and Nick Tompkins. It's interesting that Nick Tompkins potentially isn't starting, because you could argue that he's been the informed 12 within that Welsh squad. For Saracens, he's been absolutely outstanding. Say what you want about Nick Tompkins, but he's been playing his heart out for Saracens, obviously along with Rhys Carey, and that is why they are in the squad. Jared Evans offers a little bit of a different dynamic to Dan Edwards, potentially if the game gets a little bit loose at the end. He can come in and razzle dazzle. He's kind of like our Finn Russell, should I say, potentially. Anyway, that is a squad. That is my thoughts on Wales v Argentina. I might potentially be going to this game. So if you are going, let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. We are close to 1,000 subscribers. I say close, we're about 200 away. But we can get there. We can get there with a bit of consistency and me being back on the ball. Obviously, I will probably be doing a review of this game. And then, obviously, Wales v New Zealand next weekend. And, happy days. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new. And let me know your thoughts on the Wales squad below. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much.